Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. I'm Mark Martin. U.S. Marines in California recently finished up a Marine warfare exercise. The training is designed to challenge the Marine Air Ground Task Force, other U.S. forces, and allied nations' militaries against a peer adversary. The goal was to help the forces in meeting current and future real-world operational demands.
What we wanted out of Bridgeport was a true mental and physical test. It's not going to be fun, but I know I can do it. Bridgeport, for most of our Marines, was the hardest thing they'd ever done.
Here, the cold definitely slows everything down. There's no other place that Marines train that have the steepness, the ruggedness, the cold, and high altitude all in one. We're utilizing the tools given to us here, some ropes and other essential items to help traverse steep or near steep terrain. So Bridgeport offers us many different abilities to train at different altitudes, different weather, all through the season. So training here allows us to prepare them for any obstacles that may come later on in the future.
It's going to test every United States Marine here. It's probably the best replication of what actual warfare in a contested environment could be like when the chips are down. We have MWX, we will be the adversary force. We will be playing a part in Second Marg's role in testing their abilities.
Everything here is difficult. Mistakes are compounded upon each other, and victories are hard won.
We're going to take the fortitude that we've learned out here and apply it to our tasking back at home at 29 Palms.
MAGTF warfighting exercise challenges commanders continuously. Fatigue, exhaustion, lack of sleep, lack of water, you start to get hungry, you get sore over time, and all of those things start to affect your decision-making calculus and your overall endurance. Places commanders in a time-constrained environment. You don't have weeks and months to admire a problem. You are forced to rapidly develop a plan. And then you're in the fight. Better for having come out and tested yourself against a living, breathing foe? I would say yes.
After the break, how our military protects the Pacific and what their mission entails.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug-of-war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to On the Home Front. Defense Logistics Agency Energy Okinawa uses state-of-the-art methods for transporting nearly 52.7 million gallons of fuel each year for joint services in Japan. They provide fuel and keep the warfighters' mission going.
The Department of Defense has a mission spanning all across the globe. Split between 9 combatant commands, the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command takes the title of largest area of responsibility, covering 100 million square miles, or 52% of the world's surface. With a budget of $160 million, Indo-PACOM is one of the largest consumers of the fuel that powers everything from MRAPs to fighter jets to Navy destroyers. Join us as we discover how the Defense Logistics Agency, Energy Okinawa, uses state-of-the-art methods for transporting fuel to Marine battalions. Suit up with its lab technicians as they ensure the best quality product puts pilots in the sky. And don your hard hats to see its engineers maintain a steady flow to the largest naval fleets. Fueling the fight. This is DLA Energy Okinawa.
All the fuel on Okinawa, jet fuel, naval fuel, even the stuff that you're buying at the AFES gas station is either contracted or flows directly through our pipeline to the customer. You've got this massive ocean tanker mooring off of a single point, hence the single point mooring. We're talking about anywhere from 6 to 10 million gallons per vessel. So it's a pretty significant operation.
It's not enough to just store the fuel. It has to be tested in order to ensure the quality is safe to use and will get the job done.
What we as DLA Energy Okinawa Petroleum Lab here is that we ensure the quality of the fuel, and that is key for us. There are 5 different types of tests. There's a type A test, there's 3 type B tests, and the 5th test is the C test. And the C test is pretty much, like I said, the quick and simple analysis. Your B-level test, depending on what operation you're doing, if it's recirculation in a truck or some type of fuel system, then you'll do like a B3 type test. A B2 test is testing the quality of the fuel product when it's stored for an extended amount of time. And that's mainly what we do here is a B2 test.
Maintaining DLA Energy Okinawa's assets requires a full team.
We have operations going on at 6 geographically separated locations on the island. The control room is staffed 24/7 to monitor for any problems with the fuel systems throughout the areas. We have a great team of Japanese employees, MLCs, handling the mission. The #1 job is the operation itself. Their mission is very important, and supporting the warfighter is very important to DLA Energy.
The maintenance team performs over 4,000 scheduled work services every year, managing 7 fuel terminals, 6 pump stations, and over 78 miles of pipeline stretching across the island.
Preventive maintenance is important because it keeps the system running smooth. If you don't keep the pump bearings greased, they're going to fail down the roads. We definitely need the local MLCs to get the job done. They're the ones out in the field every day turning the wrenches. So without them, the mission doesn't happen.
As an Okinawa quality assurance specialist, I provide quality surveillance and quantity specification on all petroleum products received into the DFSP. Of course, Okinawa DLA Energy, we've only been pushing fuel to the services here on this island since 2013. Even though we were supplying the Army with the fuel that the Army was using to push. So we've always been supplying the fuel to these guys. It's just that now we're more hands-on than we were prior to the Army being here. Every time you see an aircraft fly over, you know, you're part of it. You see a Navy ship at the piers at White Beach, you're part of it. Being prior military, yeah, I still take pride in it.
We really do have a family here. All the way down from the people on the ground performing that operation, all the way up to the echelons of leadership. Do our absolute best to have a culture of open collaboration and communication and mutual respect for both our host nation culture and our U.S. culture.
Up next, a look at the history of a special place in D.C. that honors fallen troops and veterans.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5, Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5, Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
CBN News, no filter, 24/7 news. Through the lens of faith, from natural disasters to breaking news in the Holy Land. We have access to stars in entertainment and to top newsmakers. We are fighting for your freedoms. CBN News, because truth matters. Become a CBN News member today.
Honoring our military doesn't stop when their work here on Earth does. Thousands of U.S. soldiers are remembered as they lay at rest in Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, D.C. Here's a brief history of its importance.
Arlington National Cemetery, America's most hallowed national monument, reflects America's history and is a living tribute to the service and sacrifice of those willing to dedicate their lives to its ideals. Monuments and memorials are interspersed throughout the cemetery among the headstones that honor events and members from all branches of the military. The cemetery is the final resting place for more than 400,000 active duty service members, veterans, and their families. And though it is the nation's most famous burial ground, it was not the first national cemetery. The U.S. Soldiers and Airmen's Home National Cemetery in Washington, D.C. is named after the adjacent Armed Forces Retirement Home. Throughout its 160 years of operation, it has been known as the Military Asylum, Soldiers' Home, and U.S. Soldiers and Airmen's Home.
In the months following the outbreak of the Civil War, many public buildings and churches were turned into makeshift hospitals. For the first time in our history, the United States Army found itself in the burial business on a much grander scale. Following the Battle of the First Bull Run, the commissioners of the United States Military Asylum offered 6 acres of land to the federal government to be used as a cemetery.
President Lincoln, whose retreat from the White House was on the grounds of the asylum, would visit the cemetery and walk among the grave sites, pondering the great sacrifice those soldiers had made. A nurse at the asylum described how these somber echoes of war brought powerful emotions to those who visited or lived near the cemetery. She described the cemetery as a more sorrowful sight I have never seen.
On May 13th, 1864, the cemetery filled the capacity, and the Quartermaster General and Secretary of War turned their eyes across the river and saw the 1,100 acres of Arlington. On June 15th, 1864, they set aside 200 acres to become Arlington National Cemetery. In the early days, it was not considered an honor to be buried at a national cemetery. It normally meant that your family could not afford the cost to embalm and transport your remains home. All of that changed in 1868 when General John Logan, commander of the Grand Army of the Republic, a Civil War veterans group, established May 30th as Decoration Day. On Decoration Day, thousands of citizens would come to the cemeteries in the area and place flowers on the graves of the fallen. Almost immediately, Civil War veterans began to view national cemeteries as more prominent places to be buried. In 1883, the commissioners set aside 9 more acres here at the cemetery to be used as burial space, and it included a small officer section. Although most officers opted to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery, a few, including some who were commissioners at the military asylum, requested burial here. General Logan was originally going to be buried across the street at the Rock Creek Cemetery, but Mrs. Logan went to the Army and asked if she could place the mausoleum here at the Soldiers and Airmen's Home National Cemetery.
The Soldiers' Home Cemetery's rolling hills mark the final resting place for more than 14,000 veterans. These graves symbolize the sacrifices of generations of armed service members.
As you walk through the cemetery today, you'll see the graves of Medal of Honor recipients, unknown soldiers from the Civil War, Buffalo soldiers, residents of the Soldiers and Airmen's Home, and even a Pearl Harbor survivor.
Visitors today can reflect and find meaning walking over the same grounds and seeing the same grave sites that Abraham Lincoln did 150 years ago. Though Arlington National Cemetery is revered around the world, it was from these humble beginnings that we begin to honor our fallen heroes.
Each December, the organization Wreaths Across America heads into Arlington National Cemetery to lay wreaths on headstones with a mission to honor and remember our fallen soldiers. You can give back by sponsoring a veteran's wreath at Arlington or at a cemetery near you. To donate a wreath, visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. And don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after the break.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Thanks for staying with On the Home Front. Last year, the Defense Department launched a new initiative called This Is Your Military to highlight the work of service members. The initiative also has the goal of debunking myths about military service and increasing awareness among the American people. Using the hashtag #KnowYourMil, the DoD is sharing personal stories to inspire others. Marine Corps veteran Roman Baca shares why he opened a dance studio and how he hopes it helps other veterans use dance to express themselves.
One of the things people usually raise an eyebrow about is when I tell them that I was a classical ballet dancer that joined the Marines, because there is an inherent conflict between those two concepts. I think I was a normal kid. When I was younger, I was kind of a troublemaker. In high school, I wanted to be an engineer. So I was taking math classes, drafting classes. Didn't even think of taking theater or dance at all until one of my best friends was a ballerina. And she used to tell me stories about the dance classes, and it interested me. I enjoyed dancing. I enjoyed being an artist. I enjoyed being a performer, but it's a hard life. Future's uncertain. And I wasn't convinced I was making a positive impact in the world. I wanted to help people. I was in the Marine Corps Reserve for 8 years. My unit was deployed to Fallujah, Iraq in 2005. I didn't want to leave the Marine Corps at first, but concurrently I started my dance company. And I saw that we were making such a positive impact that I wanted to follow this and see where it went. The thing I enjoy the most about what I do now is being able to share veteran stories and the stories of people impacted by war to audiences.
Facing the audience, stage right stage.
We developed a movement concept and a movement workshop that helps veterans repurpose movements and understand that these things that they learned in the military don't have to be with them their whole life. They can actively work, physically work, mentally work to change that into something that helps them move forward in life, helps them move forward in relationships, and helps them grow post-military.
Just the leg.
Just the leg.
What is your name? Oh, David.
David, there you go. We embolden people to come out of their comfort zones and do something that makes them a little vulnerable, but that vulnerability moves people and changes hearts and minds.
That's all for today, but you can find more of our exclusive news coverage at cbnnews.com. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.